Good afternoon, fret friends. We have a new project on the bench, brought in by a lovely guy called Dan, and it is a rather beaten up Squier Affinity Telecaster. Nice guitars these, made in China this one, but this needs a little bit of TLC. Got some stickers on the back there, a couple of chips and dings in there. My lad's bought it in. He was given this guitar, his brother gave him this guitar, and he says it's going to need some work. He ummed and ahed about buying a new guitar, but he says, look, since I've got the guitar anyway, why don't we go and have it looked at, find someone to look at it? And he's only a mile down the road, and he didn't know I was here. And his brother said, I've seen this guy on YouTube, he's in Kirkby. Go and see him. And he's rung me, and he's bought it in, and there you go. And I've had a look at it, and it really does need a setup. I've had him here, I've checked the frets while he was here, and it is apparent that 7 frets need attention, maybe more. I've not precision checked yet, I just did a quick scoot across with a fret rocker while he was here. So I says, you're probably going to need a fret level. Now, fret level with a setup is £135, and I understand that is a lot of money to spend on a Squier Affinity. I did initially think it was a Squier Classic Vibe I was bringing in, I don't know where I got it from, but it's a Squier Affinity. These guitars only cost about, well, they cost £185, £200. Don't know what they cost. So is it worth spending that money on a cheaper guitar? Well, absolutely. These are very well built guitars, made with good woods, and they are well made. And even though this has 7 high frets, the frets are really quite nice. So I said to him, look, worst case scenario, I said I'll try and do it at a spot level. If I could do a spot level, I normally include 5 frets spot leveled in an intensive setup. I said, I'm going to try and get it done for you. In the price of an intensive setup was £85, and I'm going to try and do it. I said, but with no guarantees. I said, the reason I have a cut off at 5 frets is when I alter this 1 fret, it's going to alter it. If I remove material from this one, it's going to alter the relationship of those around it. So if I take material from that, it's likely that I'm going to need to take material from ones around there. And once I get over 5, there's no point doing a spot level because you're going to end up doing the whole lot anyway. So it means the nut's got to come off and we've got to level the whole lot. So I'm going to try and do that, but if not, do you want me to give it what it needs? It will be £135, it won't cost you any more. That you get a complete setup and rebuild. So it's a strip and rebuild setup. We're going to do absolutely everything, check the electrics, get all that out, check every nut and bolt, level the frets, cut the nut slots, set the action and the intonation, and restring it. It will also owe £5 for strings, so it's going to cost 140 quid. Worst case scenario, he says. He agreed with me that the neck is the most important part of a guitar, so he just says, look, what it needs, he says, just do what it needs. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, straight away, he said he'd had a go at this and he tried to set that up and it wasn't right, it's still getting buzz. Now, the reason he's getting buzz is he set the action way too low. We're at nearly 1mm above a 12th fret here. I'd like to see this bass string 1.75mm above the 12th fret and the treble string 1.5mm above the 12th fret. So that's a space we're measuring from the top of the fret to the bottom of the string. I'd like to 1.5mm this side, 1.75mm this side. The amount of relief I'd like to see would be about 0.25mm at the 7th fret. And I'd like to see an action, a nice low action here. Now, I already tell by the action of these strings that that nut does not need replacing on the guitar there. We don't need to replace the nut. I've got enough material on there to cut the slots down even further and to reshape it. So that's a good sign. Also, when checking the frets, I did find that the first 4 or 5 don't need touching. Again, that means I don't have to remove the nut. So if I was doing a complete fret level along the whole length, I wouldn't have to go as far as the nut. So I'd certainly, if I was charging £135, I'd probably knock 20 quid off there anyway. So I'm thinking worst case scenario, because I don't have to touch these last few frets. If we do a complete fret level, I think we're going to be looking, I'm going to do him a special price of £115. Plus the strings £120, so I don't think we can save fairer than that. It's the best I can do. I'm not cutting my nose off to spite my face. What I do need to do though is get this setup done. Now I'm going to grab up my Allen keys right here, right now, and we are going to set the radius. So I'm going to move the camera, I'm going to turn the camera off, I'm going to move it and I'm going to show you. We're going to do a setup with the old strings on for now. When it comes to doing the setup proper, we'll do it with new strings later on. I'd just like to get an idea of where the guitar is right now. Bear with me, I'm going to move the camera. So, like I said, I'm going to get the guitar set up with the old strings on. So first thing I'm going to do is get the radius set at the bridge end of the guitar. For that we need a 1.5mm Allen wrench to alter these saddle screws, and I'm going to take everything higher than it needs to be because I already know the action is not right. So low on the base side. I'm just going to bring these up. Fair play to Dan for having a go, but it was way out of where he needed the strings to be. And I dare say a setup will make a lot of difference. A proper setup, but we still do have buzzing frets, so we're going to sort those out. I've decided because he doesn't need all of it, especially this end, I think his frets are all fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knock him. If I end up doing a complete fret level, I'm going to knock him 20 quid off because I don't need to go down at that end. I also do not need to alter, well, I don't need to replace the nut. So that again is a great thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the amount of relief now. 25.5 scale. So we're going to get the not straight edge over there. Just going to check the amount of relief we've got. We're not tuned in, or we're not to tuning yet, so we might have more pull on that than we need. I'm just going to check. I would like to see 0.25mm relief round the 7th fret. Now, for those of you who don't know what relief is a gap under this. This is a notched straight edge, and it's a gap underneath here. At the two ends, we are touching the neck, touching that end, and we've got a little, like a smiley bow in there. It's called relief, and we like relief in there because the strings vibrate left and right and up and down, and we vibrate more in this area, so we have a little bow in there, and it's called relief. And I like to see a relief of around about 0.25mm. There's no exact measurement. Your measurement will be different to mine. That's not, I'm going to start writing on these because the numbers are worn off. But there you go, let's have a little, not quite enough in there, so I'm just going to tighten the truss rod a little, just to take less of that curve out. It's too much of a curve in there. So with the Allen wrench, we're just going to give it a little turn. So I'm going to keep the camera running. If you listen, the feeler gauge is rubbing underneath the not straight edge. It means we've got the right amount of relief there. That's a 0.25mm one. So we've got the right amount of relief, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to grab a... Oh, something else that definitely needs doing is the input jack here has only got 2 screws on there. We need to find 2 more and get them in. I am absolutely 100% certain I will have some of the correct screws in my parts drawer. So we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to take a guitar lead. What we're going to do is we're going to roughly set up the guitar with the old strings on, just to give us an idea. And I'm going to get it set up, and I'm going to set the intonation and everything with the old strings on. People slag me off of this, I don't know why, because if you get it set up pretty much with old strings on, when you get new strings on, you're going to be pretty close. People are going to slag you off regardless of what you do, so don't worry about it. Just ignore them completely. So I'm going to get this pretty much close. So tuning wise, we're pretty much close. Now we're going to check the action at the 12th fret. Like I said, on the bass side, from the top of the fret to the bottom of the string at the 12th fret, I would like to see 1.75mm. And we have 1.75mm. It's almost as if I know what I'm doing, isn't it? And on the far side, I would like to see 1.5mm. And again, we are exactly 1.5mm. It really is like I know what I'm doing. Right, so that's great. So we have the correct height at the 12th fret on both outside strings. We're not bothered about the inside strings. We're going to do those now. So we are going to check the radius. For those of you who do not know what a radius is, along the length of a neck, there's a curve to the fingerboard that goes that way along the length. And that's called the radius. And radius matches whatever it's supposed to be. And I do believe that this should be a 9.5 inch radius. So we're going to take a 9.5 inch radius gauge there. We're going to slip it under the strings. And we're going to measure it, and there you go, we are a 9.5 inch radius. So what we need to do now is we need the radius here on these saddles to match the radius at the neck. So 9.5, so it's the reason we take the 4 middle ones higher. And what we're going to do is, we're going to set the radius gauge under the strings, under the two far strings, and we're going to, because we're taking these higher, we're going to drop each string onto the top of this radius gauge, and once that's done, the radius at the bridge will match the radius of the neck. So here's my Allen key. We're not bothered about the tuning at the moment. We're just going to drop each saddle to the top of that radius gauge, and hopefully leaving these saddles perfectly level, not in an arc like some people set them. We're just going to set them level, because that's how they should be set. So we're going to drop each one onto the top of this radius gauge. Once we've done so, the radius at the bridge will match the radius of the neck. You see, logic, guys. We're just talking logic here. And there you go, that one's down there. And what this does is it means that every string is the same height from a fret as the one next to it. They're all the same height because you can match the radius along the whole length of the neck. We're also going to go down, we're going to match the radius also at the nut. So we've got a constant radius along the whole length of the strings. Make sense yet? Should do. A little bit more. Dan's problem was he did the right thing, he's trying to set the radius, but what he had done incorrectly was he'd set the height of the two outside ones incorrectly. So there we go, we've set the radius. Now what I want to do is I want all these set perfectly horizontal, and some are higher one side than the other. So if I turn this one down a 16th, I'm going to turn the opposite side up a 16th, and it means we've not changed the height of the string, but we have changed the angle of the saddle. Straighten it up, that one's pretty good. That's pretty good there. Pretty good there. Again, just a little touch there. That was pretty good. So we're going to bring back to tune. You only ever really want to set your relief, by the way, with this guitar tuned to pitch, because you need the strings pulling what they're going to pull once it's set up properly. Because if you do it and the strings haven't been stretched in or anything, you're going to need more pull later on. You're going to get more or less relief than you need. So, right, we've taken the radius here to match the radius here. We're going to do the same on the knot a little bit later, but that gives us an idea of where we are. So if we're in tune, we will, however, be doing this again with new strings on there and with the guitar in playing position, which is the way you should set the intonation, and you should set the tuning only in playing position. So I'm going to have a little dingle. Sounds really nice, sounds like my intonation is all pretty much spot on, but we are going to go and have a look. So what we need to do before we set anything else is we need to stretch the strings in. So I'm going to grab the string, give it a little stretch. Okay, that snaps. Okay, we'll set the intonation. We'll set that later on with the new strings on, because that now has just made it. There's no point putting a new string on, setting it, then taking the new strings back off. So we're going to take all the strings off. We are going to go and check with frets. So what we're going to do is we're throwing these strings away. Oh, actually, I can get the intonation close on these 5 strings. So let's have a little look. That's fine. Set the intonation. We're going to pluck the string open. That's a D. We're going to play the harmonic on the 12th fret. That's a D. Then we're going to play the 12th note, 12th fret. We're going to fret the note. Tiny bit sharp. Just means we need to lengthen this. So we're just going to move the saddle away from the neck. What I remember is if we're sharp, we need to move the saddle looking in this direction. We need to move it to the right. Sharp and right 5 letters. If it's flat, we need to move it left as you look at it in this direction. Left and flat and left are 4 letters, so it's easy to remember. So the D is a little bit sharp. I'm just going to loosen the string a little. Just going to bring the saddle. Further away from my neck, I've got to retune. Harmonic and fretted. Perfect. Like I said, when I strummed a chord, it sounded like the intonation was right anyway. That's fine. So the intonation is bang on. So whoever set this guitar, the intonation on this guitar, knew what they were doing. So with the radius now set, the intonation I know is right across these 5 strings, not on the low E because it's snapped. We know the setup is more or less bang on now with the old strings on. So I'm going to remove the old strings. And we are whizzing through. So I'm just going to nip these old strings off. I've got some cutters here. Just going to cut them. This is what you call an express setup today. I'm whizzing through it. You pay me for my experience, not for my time. Anyway, there you go. So this string's off. That should more or less have set the neck dead straight. So I'm going to take these strings, wrap them up and bin them. This is one of those rare jobs where I'm actually going to more or less run straight through everything in one fell swoop without editing the video, without turning the camera off. End of the day, time is money. I spend more time recording and editing videos than I shouldn't be doing. It's much better if I just work through. So there you go. So that's the strings off. We're going to try and get them out without them cacking my fingers up or me getting cut. That one don't want to come off. That's fine. If you want to be a bitch, be a bitch. Again, temperamental one there. So I'm going to show some things I don't always show on camera. We'll just need to get that one out. Let's get the right tool for the job. It just means I've looped that around there somehow, and we just need to get that free. There you go. Job's a good one. Job is a good one. So yes, we're at full flow in the new workshop. I say we, it's just me on my own at the moment, but I may be taking someone on. I don't know yet, don't hold me to that. So okay, let us just check how straight the neck is. I did show this Dan when he was here. Should show that the neck was straight before we check the frets. And that neck is as straight as you're going to get it. No neck is perfectly straight. I could just possibly, it's a tiny bit of relief just here, but that does happen. Most necks undulate up and down a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. It's very rare to see a perfectly straight neck. If you don't believe me, go and ask Dan Irwine about it. So 5mm Allen key. Just give that a little, it's not a 5. It really is not a 5. What's going wrong here? Well, I measured, oh, that's the wrong one, it's 4.5, that's why. This is a 5. Just going to give it a little nip. Just see where we are. That, my friends, is a very straight neck. I like that right there. That's perfect. So we are going to go across the frets. I do not have a marker to hand. I should have one knocking about in there. One of these drawers here. Put this one below. That's a marker. That's very good. What we're going to do is going to mark any high spots on the frets. So again, I'm going to be explaining as if I'm talking to a complete novice. This is what we call a fret rocker. It has 4 lengths, which we call apparent in a minute, and each one of these edges is precision level. It's precision cut flat. I absolutely guarantee you this one. I've seen these being cut by my friend out in Greece, Harris of GMI. So what we've just got 4 lengths is we're able to check 3 frets at a time, and if we get a rock anywhere, we know that the one in the middle is high. So first fret, fine, in effect the second. So we're just going to check the frets for any high ones. And this seriously for an Affinity is really good because there's no high frets in the first 4. 5 in the middle is high. We're going to mark the fret where it's high. That's 1 high fret. There's a marker on there. There's a marker on the fingerboard, didn't want that, that's not going to wash off. Never mind, free mojo. This one here. That's high in 2 areas. High in a couple of areas. This one's high in 2 areas. You may hear voices. That's in the shop below me. I'm actually situated above shops. 3 shops below me. I'm above one of them right now. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high frets so far. High on that edge, high in the middle. That's high all the way across, so we have 6. So I don't think I'm going to be able to spot level these. I'm going to do him a favour. I'm going to knock him 20 quid off the fret level. So I'm going to do it, instead of doing it from 135, I'm going to do it at fret level from 115. I will always try and help a guy out if I can. And that one again, we've got a rocking one there, so that's 7 high frets. That's really high. Let's check again. You can hear that, that's 8 high frets. So we are going to go for a complete fret level. I did say once I've got it, the strings off properly, this, that and the other, on the bench proper, we are going to, it's going to give a different reading. A little bit of a rock on the last one there, and there, listen. So we do have 9 high frets. We are going to go for a complete fret level. But because I don't have to go all the way to the end, and I don't have to remove a nut, I'm going to knock him £20 off. So let me show you the frets that need working. And hopefully you'll be able to see here. Marker pen there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 frets. 9 frets with marker pen on there, that's 9 high frets. So I'm going to recommend that we go with a complete fret level. I will knock him 20 quid off. I'm going to text him now, let him know that was my recommendation. I know he's going to say yes, he's already said whatever it takes, just get it done. So it's what I'm going to do. We're going to level the whole lot of frets. It means I've got to level them, recrown them, because once I've leveled them I'll have flat tops and I need to recrown them again, and then I need to polish all the scratches out. So quite a big job. It's what I'm going to recommend, and it's exactly what I am going to do. So this morning, friends, before I start on the frets, we're going to be looking at the electronic system and the pickups. Make sure the pickups are working, make sure all the knobs are working correctly, and we've got it in the bridge position. And if we tap the bridge pickup, we should get something, and we do. And then if we tap this in the neck position, we should get something. And we do. So if we tap both in the middle, we do. In the bridge position, the neck's off. And in the neck position, the bridge is off. So we know the electrics are working okay. So we're going to check the volume. overtone. Minimum neck position, volume, and tone. There you go, so we know that is all working fine, but what we're going to do is, anyway, just as a matter of course, is we are going to remove the plate, the control plate and the pick guard, and we're just going to have a look inside, and we're going to spray some switch cleaner in there anyway. Once this is all done, I'll put it back together, we'll tape the pickups up, and I'm going to go and level the frets. Now, regarding the jack, it's got the wrong plate on there. I've ordered a correct plate. It's not going to be here till the end of the week, the looks of it, so we're going to have to wait for that. So I can't finish the guitar off till the end of the week. But I will be levelling the frets today. But as explained, when we do a setup, we basically do a strip and rebuild. So this is where we are right now. So we're going to remove all of this gear. Just check everything's okay. There's a plectrum under there. I bet you didn't even know that was there. So you've got a plectrum under there. That pickup is sat perfectly fine as it is. So we've done that one. Not a problem under there at all. Nothing much to see. In fact, nothing to see. I can whiz this back on. Fancy finding a plectrum under there. That's been stuck underneath and it's slipped over the years. Someone's forgot about it. They're probably looking all over for that. Where's that plectrum gone? There's a hecking plectrum. I stuck it just under here. Yeah, still there, mate. So Squier Affinity. Don't be scared by these guitars. They're really, really good value. I mean, I've got a classic vibe. Bar with frets on this, they're not much different. I suppose the pickups and the electrics are not going to be as good as they are on the classic vibe, but great upgrade of this one. I don't tighten these all the way with the electric, I just bring them close and then I finish with the by hand. So that's all back on there. Full size pots, that's a surprise. And they've got an S on there. I do know what type of pots these are. Came across it recently, but it doesn't come to mind right now. But anyway, let's not worry about that. Just as a matter of course. Anyway, let's clean the contacts on the pots. I use Service Old Super 10 switch cleaner. Fantastic gear. And all we're going to do is we're just going to give a little squirt. I wonder if I can get this. That's in there. Just going to give a little squirt inside, and a little squirt inside there, and that's it. Wiring, everything else is fine, it's okay. All we're going to do is going to bang everything back in, shove it back in there. We're just going to wiggle these pots about, let the switch cleaner work in there, remove any dirty carbon deposits, and we won't get any scratching. We won't get any scratching anyway. So there you go, that's all done. Again, everything on camera. And that's that done. So we need to weight reliable of a jack plate. get the frets done today. Again, finished by hand. That's all good. Check the strap pins. That one's fine, nice and tight. That one's in nice and tight. And that's it. The pickup's nice, it's where I want it to be. Just going to check these things on the tuners. Things we do but don't often put on the video. These should be 10mm. Did I do these before? I did not, but it's still a bit loose. That's nice. Yeah, these were loose, so we didn't need doing. That's nice and tight. Flip over, make sure there's no more nuts and screws anywhere. There are the ones on the end of the tuners. I'll just give these a little nip. I know exactly how they need to be. Nothing on the right screwdriver. No, I'm missing the smallest one somewhere. Oh, here we are. So it's these that hold these in. I'll just adjust. That's nice, that's nice. Want some nip. That's a bit loose. We can give that a nip. A little bit tight now. Just a little bit tight. That's nice, that's a bit loose. That's nice. And that's nice. So all the nuts and bolts and everything on the guitar have been checked and tightened. We've been under the cavity. We've sprayed the parts. We're just going to need a new input jack. I could fill those holes with some toothpick and re-drill 2 holes for 2 more screws, but that's going to be a little bit of a bodge job. So if the new plate fits the hole, we might as well use the new plate. The new plate was £4 delivered. But there you go, everything is now ready for the fret level. I don't want to leave that hanging out, so what we're just going to stick the 2 screws I do have back in. Like I say, for some reason that is not the right plate. Just going to get them close, we're not going to get them right in. And there you go, so bang some tape on the pickups. Complete coverage, seal around, so we don't get any filings on there. Same again with the bridge pickup. Bridge pickup may need some extra tape around. Oh no, that seems pretty good. Don't need to get any of the filings under the pickups. I could remove a neck and bolt it to a piece of wood, like a piece of MDF, like I've done in the past. Everything sealed. And there you go, we're not going to get any unwanted bits of anything anyway we don't want it, so we're ready for levelling these frets. Again, I like to keep the film running as continuous for as long as possible. Check for straightness. I already determined that that was straight neck and that is straight neck. So we're ready for levelling as it is. Should I remove the nut? It'll make things a lot easier if I do. Let's just try and give it a little tap, just see if we can coax it out gently. Where would my hammer be? Bear with me a second. Fretting hammer. Just going to give us a little tap, just see if it's going to want to come out. And it's straight out, look, which is fantastic because I can put that back in. That's a composite nut, not plastic, so that'll be absolutely fine. for putting back in. We're quite happy with that. So that's come out really, really easily. It means now that I can level all of the frets in one fell swoop without having to worry about that being there. I'm not going to tape anything up. I'm going to go straight to my leveling file, which is this one. Chris Allsop is on the internet. This is one of his files, perfectly flat. It's a diamond file and it's a fabulous piece of kit. And I'm going to remove the majority of the fret which needs removing with this before I hit it with the leveling beam. So let's see how much we need to remove. A fair bit on a couple of these. So what we're going to do first is we are going to set the guitar flat and we're just going to tap these frets back in. Just to see if any are not seated correctly. We're going to try them again because they may just be unseated. That's still very high. That's still high. That's still high. Still high. Do the same here, supporting the neck underneath. We're not going to go mental. I'm just checking to see if any of them are just seated correctly. Still a little bit high. That one seems to be okay now. Still a little bit high. Certainly a bit better. So there you go. So we've reseated some. We are still going to go hit it with the leveling file again. I'm going to check that it's a level enough for my liking. That's a level, that's beautiful. So what we're going to do now is everyone that's marked, we're going to hit with the file. I can already see that's silver, and ones around them have been touched a little. And I'll be working the ones, anything that's marked. Just working up to around about the 12th fret at the moment. Now don't worry about the overlapping here, we have to follow the full width of the radius. We don't go inside because that's for a compound. For a complete proper radius, we always overlap and keep the file going straight. I'm just doing up to a 12th fret at the moment. Nice even strokes, not pressing down much. So we're up to round about the 12th fret. We are going to go and check the frets. And the frets are now up to the 12th fret level. So we are more or less done at that end. I need a cloth, there you go. Always get some liquid, some pressurised air cans of, just to clean everything up. Also on the file, give that a blow. And we go again with the frets 12 onwards, right up to the end. Check we've got no pen anywhere. It's looking pretty good. So if we check from fret 12 onwards, these are not hard frets, quite soft fret wire, so the height we need to remove has been removed quite quickly. And we'll find that we're probably level. far so good. So definitely high on that edge there, far side. There we are, we are all done. So I think we will find that the frets are level along the whole length of the neck. But what we need to do is to make sure we need to level the whole lot now. Because I've removed a knot, it makes it a lot easier to remove all of them. I just need to think where my leveling beam is. There you go. Don't forget I'm in a new workshop. I've not established where everything is yet, or where everything lives properly yet. There we go, my leveling beam. Again, you've all seen this piece of kit, fabulous piece of kit. Crimson Guitars leveling beam, precision edges, top and bottom, 240 grit on the base, 400 grit on the top, with 240 grit to remove the main material, 400 grit to smooth it off and make it easier to polish. So I'm going to grab a non-permanent marker and mark all of the frets. We're looking to remove the pen so all of the frets are silver, just in a few strokes. I'm going to do it with the 240 grit followed by the 400 grit. In the past I've removed the necks and bolted them to a piece of 30mm MDF. I can't find that at the moment, otherwise I would have done it with this. It's why I've covered the pickles up to level the frets. So again, Crimson Guitars leveling beam, fabulous piece of kit. I'm going to need to sort out some better lighting here, by the way. I decided the lighting is not good enough. There you go, that is precision level top, precision level bottom, 240 grit on the bottom, and we're just going to follow the radius while we overlap at this end, because we've got the full radius width at this end. See where we are, just making sure all of the blue is off, and it is. So we do have the frets level. I'm going to use a different coloured pen this time. With some red, we're going to go across with 400 grit. Once all the red pen's removed, because we know we're level, once this is all gone, we know we can recrown the frets. The levelling is not the time consuming part, it's the recrowning and the polishing that takes the time. Supposed to be in Canada tomorrow, me and the wife, but my visa never came through. Well, it's not a visa, it's an ETA. They've had 3 months to sort it out. My wife is so upset, it defies belief. She's cried a river or two. So we can't go right now. I'm hoping to get my ETA in this week, so I could possibly go next week, especially go for the whole of August. It's not good, but at least I get to be here. Right, so now 400 grit, top side. Just need to remove a red pen. Nice and gentle. The red pen is removed from all. Oh, there's a little tiny bit of red pen there, so it means there's a higher fret somewhere around here. Check it out in a second. It's gone now, so there's nothing major. So if I go across the frets now with a fret rocker, these frets should all be level. So let's have a look. Fret rocker, where art thou? Can move that out of the way. Here you go, here we are. Still waiting on my remote control for my camera. Not seeing it anywhere. So I ordered another one from America. But anyway, let's just do these frets, make sure we're level. And we're looking pretty good. And there you go, the frets are now level, so we can move on to the next part of the process, which will be to recrown. Meaning with the frets are now flat on the top, we need to recrown in that direction. We need to make that into the C shape, get recrowning them. So we're going to do that next. And we need to do that, I need to tape up the whole fingerboard and go and get my files, and I'll show you how we recrown the frets next. So a neck angle or a camera angle, not unfamiliar to many of you, and I'm going to crown the frets. Now we do have a little bit of marker spillage over here. This tip on this pen is really not quite right, so to be a little bit more careful with it. But what we're going to do is these are the tops of the frets, all marked up with marker pen, and the tops are flat. We need to rebuild that crown. And the string sits on the top of the crown here, which is a minimal contact with the top of the fret. And the less contact there is, the more chance or less chance there is of getting a buzz anywhere. So I've got two files for this job. In the olden days we'd use a 3-corner file, in the not too distant days should I say. But nowadays we have a great tool like this Stuback Z file. This is fantastic in as much as it does two cuts. A long sloped but shorter angle cut, and a sharp angle cut with a very sharp fall away on there, and we turn it 180 degrees to see the exact opposite. And what's wonderful about this file is it's a diamond file. That means it's perfectly flat, it's diamond coated, and it will not touch the top of the fret, which means now how much material we remove, we're going to remove just from the edges, not the top, and it's going to gradually build up that crown for us. So this is how we do it. It's really simple. It's like I say, it's a diamond file, so it really will cut. There's just a few strokes, then we flip it 180 degrees, do exactly the same again. And that has just removed material from each side of the fret at two different angles, and it's left a nice thin line down the centre. And that thin line is where the string is going to hit the fret. And once that's done, we take another similar type, well not similar, another crowning file which has just got the crown built in like that. And this will just round off fret, remove any burrs or any inconsistencies, and it'll round over the edges. And that's it, straight over the top. And that is that fret done. And because we've still got that line down the centre, we have not removed any material from the top. So we know the fret height has stayed intact, it's exactly what we need it to be. So I'm going to move across, move the next one, we'll do the next one, same again. This is cutting two different angles on two different sides. We flip it 180 degrees, we can cut the opposite angles on the opposite sides, leaving us a nice crown fret, like so. Always wipe the file after you've done one. That file again, and back to the crowning file, and this one. And that is two of them done. Just need to grab my fret rocker, can't find it at the moment. I've got a spare, we'll just take the spare for now. And just checking that we've not removed any height. We haven't, because we've still got that black line down the centre. So I'm going to crack on, get the rest of the frets done. It's going to take me a while. Once that's done, we're going to move to the polishing stage. So I did find my piece of MDF that I bolt next to, so I'll remove the neck from the body just to make it easier to work at this end of the neck, because where I would have to have been working this file over the body of the guitar, now I don't have to, because look, plenty. Now if I was working over the body's going to be this high, and I'd have been really struggling to get the angle I wanted without digging into the body. So now we're able to get right into all of the frets along the whole length. It makes the job a lot easier and a lot quicker. So there you go, I'm going to crack on, get the rest done. I've only got about 10 more frets to do. All these are already recrowned. And then we're going to move on to the polishing stage. Good news guys, my new remote control has arrived. So I'm now able to zoom out and control the camera from this gubbins. It's cost me 30 quid from America, but well worth the money. So I'm going to crack on, get these frets polished. I'll show you how we go about that in just a few seconds. So polishing the frets, really simple. We polish the frets with 6 different grits of sandpaper, starting at 600, go through 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000. We start with the coarse grit, finish with the fine grit, and what that does is we're going to be sanding this way, removing all the scratches, and go with a finer grit each time to bring them all to a more of a polished, mirrored finish. We polish not just to make them shiny, we polish also to remove scratches. It takes a while. We've got 21 or 22 frets times 6. Then we're going to finish off with the finest grade steel wool to bring them up to a beautiful shine. So it's going to take me a while. I'm going to crack on, get it done. Once it's done, once I'm at the stage where I'm going to be using the steel wool, I'll show you how we bring them up to a beautiful shine. I failed to mention, before I start the polishing proper, I'll take some coarse 400 grit, and because we've levelled that way, I'm going to remove the scratches this way, just from the top. And this 400 grit is thicker than the regular paper, and it will remove most of the scratches, which will make polishing a lot easier. So it's just a matter of going that way, just across the top, and now you can hardly see the scratches on that fret. So it's going to take, like I say, it's going to take me a while. So I'm going to be doing, in effect, 6 grits of paper after this one, plus the steel wool. So I'm going to be doing 8 polishes of 22. It gives me, in effect, I'm polishing 176 frets. And this is just to remove the scratches on the top. So it's a little bit quicker than doing the actual polish. Like I say, this is going to take me a while. So I'm going to crack on, get most of it done off camera. Like I say, I'll bring you back in when we get to the stage where we're using the steel wool. I've been through with the 7 grits. That's 400 through 2000. So you've got 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500 and 2000 grits. Just got to wipe off. I'm just going to show you. This is what we wipe off once we polish. I'm just going to try and get a cleaner bit. And we'll just give this a little wipe. And there you go. Get an idea. And all we need to do now is finish off with superfine steel wool. And sometimes I just like to go just along the edge, just to check the edges out. I've already sanded these edges down where they were sticking out just a little bit. But again, with this, really easy. All we need to do now is pinch over the top of the fret and just forwards and backwards a few times. And the frets are dull at the moment, even though they've been polished with 7 grits of paper, but you get a bit of superfine steel wool, and there you go, they come up like glass. They're absolutely superb. So once this is done, I'll peel off the tape, wipe down the fingerboard, wipe over the frets with a clean cloth. We'll get the neck back on the guitar, we'll stick the nut back on, and we'll move on to the final part of the setup. So these frets, I guarantee, are just so beautiful. I don't know if you're going to see if I put a magnifying glass over there. I don't know what you can see exactly. Let's go this side. But yeah, look at those. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to crack on, get these done, and then we're going to get the guitar finished off. Neck back on, nut back on, get it set up. And there you go. Rather than stick the nut in with super glue, as I've done many times in the past, I'm going to drop a little bit of tie bond in there and just let it set with tie bond, because that way, if you ever need to remove a nut again in the future, it'll be a lot easier to get out. Now this tie bond I've got is quite old, so it might be going off a little bit, but all I'm going to do is get a little dab in there like so. And I'll just wipe that out of the way. And all we're going to do is just drop the nut straight in there. Slide it a bit left, a bit right. I'm just going to let that set. And that way, if we ever need to remove the nut at a later date, it's going to be a lot easier to remove, because we're just breaking a light membrane of glue. It'll be a lot easier to get out. So I'm going to let that set overnight. There's the neck ready to go back on the guitar. I'm going to leave that. I'll stick that back on the guitar tomorrow, and we can get it all set up. So just about finishing up on this guitar, I have put the strings on, tuned it up more or less. We're pretty close to tune in, we're close. I'm going to just check the intonation. Once that's done, we're going to check the action again, we're going to check the radius again, and then we're going to cut the nut slots. So I'm just going to get the intonation where it needs to be at the moment. So and I remember I did do this with the old strings on, so it should be very close. I've stretched the strings in. A little bit sharp. Just going to grab a... Let's see this one, because I can't find, I don't know where the one is. Check again. Tiny bit sharp, so we just need to lengthen that just a little. A couple of turns on the screwdriver. Tiny bit sharp on that one, so we only did a very tiny adjustment. That's the intonation done. So we're next going to check string height at the 12th fret. I can turn the tuner off for now. Check the action at the 12th. We're actually 1.75, we're actually nearer to 2 mil on this side. I like to be about 175, and we are 175 on the far side. That's good in as much as we're going to cut the nut slots first and set the radius. Once the nut slots are set, we're still going to get pretty close, so I am going to just slightly lower top E, tuner back on, something's not right there, the tuner's not working right. That tuner's not working at all. Show me a G sharp there. I do believe my tuner's broke. I just paid 85 quid for that. Tell you what, you need to plug it in. How's that for you? Put the cable in, Vic. Hold on. So it shouldn't be broke. Might check those heights again. About 1.9 so far on the low E, and about 1.6. It's actually still a little bit high. Just going to drop that down a tad. I want the two outside strings exactly where they need to be. Just going to slightly drop the low E. I want them close but not on the money because I'm going to be cutting the nut slots. So we'll check there. Right, okay, we're about 1.85 there, which is perfect on the low E. About 1.65 on the I behind E. Go a little bit higher on the high. And I think we'll be just about where we need to be. Because I've got to make allowances for cutting the nut slots. Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good on both. So I'm happy with where both are. I'm going to get the radius gauge beneath the strings. If I can find it, what have I done with that? It's a very good question. If I can't find it, I'm going to have to do it by eye. It's saying it's out, so by right it should be in this top drawer. And it isn't, so I've put it somewhere. Right, okay, I'll do it by eye. I'm pretty close to where I need to be anyway. That's pretty good. It may be in the back room because I've been doing a refret in there. And it will be in there because I had to check a radius of the guitar in there. Let's just get close back to tune. But I've done it by eye, so I think that's going to be pretty much spot on. Pretty good. I'm going to go and grab it. I think it's in the next room. Bear with me. 15 seconds. Found it straight away. So 9.5 radius. One of the strings. And let's see where we are. And we're a little bit high on these two, on the G and the B, so we're just going to drop those ever so slightly. But for a quick eyeball, that's pretty close. Pretty good. Right, so we now have a radius almost bang on. Just check that these are level. got to come back a nudger on that one, slightly up a bit on there, and I'm thinking that we are pretty much exactly where we need to be now. That's good. Happy with that. That's where we need to be tuning wise. So that's fantastic. So we've matched this radius here. We've got the intonation set, 12th fret, blah blah blah. Last thing we need to do, we'll set the action 1.85 this side, 1.6 that side. The reason I've gone a little bit higher than my 175 and my 1.5 is we're going to be cutting the nut slots. So we're going to leave the guitar plugged into the tuner. I'm going to grab my nut files, and as requested, I'm going to cut. There you go. Hosco nut slotting files, 125, 130 quid these will cost you. I'm going to cut this with 1046 set as requested by the client. And my 13 of my 10 in holders, 46, 36, 26, well 28, 16, 13, 10, 16 acts as a 17, 28 acts as a 26. So that's those there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a cloth in a moment, and we're going to cut, measure and cut the nut slots. Now, I measure these, and I like to go with the strings on, everything in tune, everything set up as it ought to be. I like a gap of 0.3 millimeters on the bass side, 0.2 millimeters on the treble side. Could go a lot lower if you wanted to, but they are a good safe bet. Now then, is that my 20 or my 25? That's my 20. Looking for a 0.25. No, I'm not looking for 0.3. These are faded that much you can hardly see them now. So 0.3 is there. And let's have a quick. It's close, but no cigar. We'll remove the string. We're going to take a 0.046 nut slotting file, like so. Made by Hosco, stainless steel or steel. Make a perfect U shape. Going to just give it a quick wipe. I never clean anyway because I always clean them. And we're just going to cut along the nut, level with the guitar neck. We're not going to go mental. Just going to looking for a buzz now. Next one's pretty much okay. Going to check that with 0.25. There's my 25. So next one along, we're going to give that a little stroke as well. A little tickle. Clean the file, put it away, last one. This one's a 38. Again, just a little tickle. Again, 26 only needs a little tickle. Don't have a 26, we have a 28, which is slightly wider, but it's fine. Again, just a tickle on this one. She's going to need a little bit more. That will be the 17. We've got 16, so we're going to use a little trick here. We're just going to slightly angle that as we cut. So 16 for a 17. We're going to go in normal, then we're going to go in at an angle Then we're going to go in again at this angle and just to slightly widen that slot. A little bit too low with that, so I'm going to have to fill that. Feels like I've gone a bit low. Yep, see, cut in there too much, so I'm going to fill that with some dust in a moment, some super glue. We're going to clean that up. Just going to cut the other 2 slots while I'm here. Does happen, you've seen it live on camera. Going to check the other 2, I want to go about 0.2, 0.22 on those. And it shows you how quick you can cut a nut slot too deep. So the 13 and the 10 are in holders to stop them wobbling. This one's a 10, this is a 13. Thirteen's done, now the 10. Here's the 10. A little bit high, but that will do us. Don't want to go too low with that. That's perfect. So we're going to fill this slot on the 3rd string, the G string. We're going to get a little bit of bone dust in there, a little bit of super glue. We're going to tidy it up and we're going to recut that slot. But that, for all intents and purposes, is done. Here we are, guys. We are all done. And this is coming. It needed quite a lot of work. It needed a complete setup and a fret level. Didn't need to change the nut, though I did cut a slot a little bit too deep, so I've repaired that. The repair will be tougher and stronger than the original nut, actually, because it's a man-made bone derivative. It's a man-made version of. I've filled it with some bone and tusk dust with super glue and recarved the slot on the G string, so it's absolutely fine. We have a lovely action of 1.75mm on the bass side, 1.5mm on the treble, relief of 0.25mm at the 7th fret. That pickup probably needs to come down just a little bit. We've set the radius and the intonation on the saddles, set the right height of the strings, like I say, above the 12th fret. So the setup is bang on. We've replaced some screws, re-drilled new holes for the input jack there. Every nut bolt screw has been checked and tightened, neck's been off and on again. Frets have been levelled, recrowned and polished. So all in all, I've charged them 120 quid, a bit less than I ought to have done, 135 normally, but I did him a favour because it's not an expensive guitar. And it's all ready to go. It plays nice, it sounds great. Oh, I also cleaned up the electrics, sprayed the pots with some switch cleaner, even though we didn't need it. Nice ring to it. Sounds brilliant plugged in, really, really nice. So that one is all done. So ready to move on to the next one. So before I do, I'll just remind you of my websites. Fretfriend.co.uk, just a front holding page, not even really that much worth bothering with. I never got round to getting the website built proper. Best place to check me out is Facebook, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I'm Victor, I am your Fret Friend. And until next time, as always, God bless you, be good to each other, and I'll see you in the next one.